In this episode of What Matters Most with George Matlachane.
My overall analysis takes into account a whole lot of factors over and above the premium that I pay. And I think maybe it's because of my understanding of the finance space. My life is at risk when I'm on a bike. So there's no way in which I'm going to be careless like a driver of a car. How is that possible if my asset is depreciating but my premium is increasing?
Welcome to another episode of What Matters Most with George Matlachane, a space where we will have honest conversations about life, risk, and protection in a space that's changing faster than ever. Now, we won't just talk about policies or premiums, but we will talk to people about their experiences, what they value most, and how they protect what matters most to them. Today's guest is a perfect example of living with many dimensions. He is a professional accountant, an ACCA member, a finance manager, a master's degree graduate, and president of the Unicorn Riders crew. Welcome, Mr. Poto. How are you?
I'm okay, and yourself?
I am good, thank you for asking. Well, before we dive deep into the serious stuff, tell us about one unforgettable memory with the Unicorn Riders when you were riding and what made it so special to you.
Okay. I think specifically I can remember the 2019 June ride from Polokwane to Nelspruit. I'm remembering this specific ride because it was my first ride for a long distance, rallying, going to a rally via Sun Riders. And it was first time riding with guys for a long distance and under very complex weather, so there was a lot of mist, and the road as well, a lot of curves and very mountainous. So it was a great experience that I always remember and cherish, where I was able to ride for that distance in that kind of environment, and we arrived safely go Nelspruit.
That is nice, actually. And, just to go back into your career, right? You are an accountant, a finance manager, and president of a biker crew. What would you say, as per the namesake, what would you say matters most to you, and how do you protect what matters most to you?
Okay, a couple of things matters. I think the first important thing that I can think of is my life, just being alive. It's an important thing, but over and above that, my family, and then also the assets around us. I'm saying specifically assets around us because as a family man, you want to stay safe, protect yourself so that you can protect your family. But in protecting your family, you also want to protect the assets that you've acquired for the use by your family. So hence I'm mentioning the assets. So I think in a nutshell, those are some of the things that from the top of my head I can actually say they matter most.
Bike.
Yeah, bike as I'm counting. As I'm counting those assets, the bike is one
of the assets. You didn't just want to pinpoint it with standalone. You put it in the assets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bundled it with assets.
Yeah. Okay. And from an accountant's perspective, you deal with numbers and risk every day. When you think about protecting what matters most in your life, what financial worries or uncertainties keep you up at night?
Okay, I would say, I always say to people, managing risk starts with an understanding of the things that you want to, the assets, for example, that you actually want to protect, right? So as a finance person, I normally look at the kind of benefits that I derive from this risk, these assets, and the risk in relation to those assets. And the most common thing that always, sits in my mind is the loss of those assets. So I look at the possibility that I can lose these assets, and then the cost to protect them for me is secondary, but the most important thing is the value that I derive from those assets. So I always say that you take an insurance as an example to protect your assets. But the cost of insurance, for me, is not the key thing. The key thing is the benefit that you get from that insurance.
Yes.
So when I look at the risk vis-a-vis the assets I protect, I look at the benefit that I'll derive from paying insurance. Yeah.
Okay. And you hold a lot of qualifications, ne? And a master's degree in accounting is one of them. How has your financial expertise shaped the way you prioritize protecting yourself and your assets, as you're saying?
Yeah. So I think as I was mentioning earlier on, a lot of people, because they don't have a vast understanding of this finance space. When you talk of insurance as an example, they will compare insurance A, B based on the premium that they will pay. So, but with me, I look at the whole package. Much as insurance A, B can be cheaper than B, for me it's not the premium, but it's the cover, the whole peace of mind, the value chain that I actually get. I'll give you a practical example. With Momentum as my current insurance, that when there's a claim, I don't have to worry about going up and down, having to call insurance companies and so forth. So for me, whatever I pay as a premium really matters not, because the benefit that I'll get out is actually more important. So my overall analysis takes into account a whole lot of factors over and above the premium that I pay. And I think maybe it's because of my understanding of the finance space. Yeah.
And I mean, you're responsible for budgeting and management reporting for vital public infrastructure, considering your role as a finance manager where you currently work. How do you think about protecting the massive investments made into our provincial roads?
That's a very difficult one. A road infrastructure is an asset that is out there in the bush, on the road, or out there where everybody can easily access. And as a result, we've over the years tried to get a way to see how you can insure such an asset. But you realize that it's very costly, it's very expensive to take an insurance in terms of such kind of infrastructure. So then we focus more on how you can actually protect its lifespan. So in terms of put a quality road, maintain it, and ensure that it is safer for use. But here's the interesting part about this massive investment. So instead of saying I'm protecting the assets for damages, there's another trick. You protect the assets, like you maintain the road, so that the users cannot come back and actually claim from you. For an example, if there's a pothole on the road and the person gets into an accident, then they come to you as the company responsible for the construction. So as a result, the focus now is on prevent potholes. Where you can prevent potholes, have an insurance to cover those claims that will result from the potholes on the road. So that's the complexity of the environment that I'm working in. It's a very costly exercise, and I think we've not yet discovered insurance companies that are able to analyze this whole package and provide a very proper cover in that space. Yeah.
And do you think there's enough conversation around financial protection?
There is. It's not enough. I think I'm saying it's not enough because as individuals, you go to different financial advisors for different packages. You go to this one maybe for motor vehicle cover. You go to that one for a life cover. You go to that one maybe for something else. So I think it will be actually good for maybe even starting from even at school, at the tertiary level, as people go to school, already start introducing knowledge and information around insurance, how it works and so forth. Until I came to Momentum, I didn't really have an understanding in terms of a broker. You know, there was always a perception to look like a broker is just an agent of insurance companies. But when I tapped into that space, I learned that it is more of your representative than the insurance company representative. It's more of your union trying to negotiate for you as a client more than negotiating for the insurance companies. So the bargaining power becomes strong when you are with a broker than you alone tackling dealing with a insurance company. So that knowledge, I think, is still lacking, but it's conversation that as individuals, we keep trying, especially in the biking space. We try to share that information, but I think there's still a lot more that can be done in that space.
And let's go back to your role as president of Unicorn Riders, leading a group of passionate bikers. What is that like?
It's complex. Complex in a sense that you are leading professionals. Majority, what people don't know, most of the bikers are actually professionals because biking is expensive, so you need to already be at a certain level in your life to join that space. So you are leading professionals who've got different characters, personalities, and interests, and you are leading people who bought bikes for different reasons. Much as we all want to ride, but where to ride, when to ride, how to ride, everyone comes with his or her an understanding on that must be done. And for you as a prize to unite these different characters and be able to channel them and manage them to find each other and ride together, it's not that easy. But over and above that, we take it back to say it's about fun. We buy bike to walk away from the working stress and home stress, to refresh and rejuvenate. So at the end of the day, I find it very interesting and yet challenging as well.
Are there female bikers as well?
Yes, we do. Like in our club, we've got a couple of ladies who are biking. I think over time, over the years, women have opened up to biking. I think people have made biking look like a very risky sport. Much as I agree that it is risky, but it's not as risky as people make it, to be. So as a result, over time, we're seeing women come into the picture, which I think is good. Women are more disciplined than men. And the more women come into the space, I think the more discipline we tend to see in biking.
Yeah. And if, like, let's say myself as a woman, I wanted to join the Unicorn Riders, would you let me?
Definitely. Look, the requirements are very simple. As long as you can get a bike 250cc minimum, you've get a license or a learners to ride that bike, and the bike is roadworthy. And over and above that, you are a person of a good character. Good character, we simply refer to a person who values family, who values work, who values other people, because as a team we need to get along very well. So Unicorn, we promote all those factors. So as long as you can comply with those requirements, we are quite open and welcoming, and we actually encourage more women to join biking.
I'm coming. Okay.
That will be great.
So if you could design like a perfect insurance or a financial protection solution for bikers, what key features would you love to see included to protect what matters most?
All right. I think the premium issue always comes up as we discuss in biking, right? I think a lot of insurance companies do not seem to understand the bike as a motor vehicle. I think most insurance companies, they have a better understanding on cars than bikes. Right? Some, they don't even take interest in terms of insuring you. Some, as you speak to consultants, they don't even understand when you say I'm riding this type of bike, 1000cc. They don't even know what you're talking about. So as a result, it becomes difficult for them to properly give you a quote. Majority, you find that the premium is very high because there's a general perception that a bike will more likely get into an accident than a car. But here's the thing. Most of us, we don't ride our bikes as a mode of transport. We ride a bike as a means of entertainment. As a result, we don't ride it every day. So if we can have an insurance that takes those elements into consideration to say, if a normal car that is driven on a daily basis, you would want 1,000, but a bike that will be ridden only once a week, then take the premium a little bit, or maybe even pay as you ride, because sometimes you take even the whole month without riding your bike. I think that will actually help a whole lot more. And I think also in terms of the risk assessment, much as yes, a bike can easily get into an accident, but if there can be a consideration of the fact that my life is at risk when I'm on a bike, so there's no way in which I'm going to be careless like a driver of a car. A driver of a car, they go on their cell phones, they read messages and WhatsApps while driving. When I'm on a bike, I'm 100% focused, so that also reduces the level of risk of getting into an accident. So if those factors can be taken into account and reduce our premium, we would actually appreciate.
And do you feel like there's still some parts of insurance or financial planning that is still confusing or overwhelming or less accessible?
Yeah, I think the common one is the increase in insurance premium on a year to year. Fortunate, I mean, for some of us who are with Momentum under George Matlagane, is that the Momentum takes care of that review. They engage you and call you and so forth. But what I'm seeing with most of the guys I'm riding with is that the insurance company seems to just adjust automatically every year. Premiums keeps going up, but the value of the bike goes down. And it's the question that we ask ourselves to say, but how is that possible if my asset is depreciating, but my premium is increasing? So that's an area that I think most people are still not, in understanding as to how it works here. Yeah.
And if you could leave our listeners with one piece of golden advice, whether they are bikers, servants, or accountants, what would that be?
All right. I would say, as much as life is too short, let's enjoy life. But while we are enjoying, let's be responsible. And part of being responsible is to ensure that assets that we have that benefits us and benefits our family, let those assets be protected so that even when we are no longer around or should anything happen to us, our families are able to continue enjoying those assets. In fact, I always say, should anything happen to me, my wife and kids should actually rather have a better life than the one they actually had when I'm still alive, instead of suffering. So they must only cry for me not being around, but they must actually rejoice for the benefit that comes thereafter. They must have a better life and rather smile and say, oh, if it was not for my dad, if it was not for my husband, we wouldn't have this house, we would not have that car, we would not have that education policy and so forth. So for me, that's enjoy. While you enjoy, be responsible and ensure that all the risks in relation to your assets are properly covered.
Thank you, Mr. Poto. Thank you so much for your time here today and for joining What Matters Most with George Matlagane. It's been great having you here.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the invite.